Hey there, boys and girls. Now, if you have been doing the egg and vinegar at home, you should have been making a lot of different observations. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to officially take my egg out of the vinegar. Now, when I touch it, it is very slimy. When I can kind of move it. I'm going to move it a little closer so you guys can see. You guys can still see there's a little bit going on. Some of the shell's still on there. You can, if you have one of these, just go ahead and finish cleaning it off, but you have to be very careful because it will break. Okay, if you would like, you can rinse it off with some water just so that it is cleaned off so that we can do our measurements to see how big our egg is. Did it change? Is it the same size or is it different? Okay, now boys and girls, I went ahead and I cleaned off my egg. Now when you look at the egg, you can see where the yolk is inside. Okay. Now also my egg is now squishy. See? Now a regular egg looks like this. Can I squish that one? No, I can't. Okay, it would break. Now if we look at these, do you notice anything? What about the size? Now this egg was this size when we put it into the vinegar. Okay, now, if you don't believe me, if you did your measurement at home, what I'm gonna have you do now is measure this egg and see how does it compare to what it was when we first started. Now, with this egg, okay, if I push this down and if I drop it, it's going to break into little pieces and make a mess of my table. So I'm gonna move this real quickly. Bear with me. There we go, that's better. Now, if I put this here, watch. It bounces. Now, if I bounce it from up here, it's probably going to break. And I don't want it to break right now because I'm not done messing with it. But this is our egg. It is squishy. Now, we know that if we use a real egg and drop it, not going to be good. Now, if you can think about an egg, can you think of any egg that might be a little squishy? Maybe a hard-boiled egg. Now this one I boiled, okay? I can squish it and I can bounce it some, but it's not as bouncy as my egg that we put inside of the vinegar, okay? Now I'm gonna put these next to each other. Can you guys see the difference? Okay, this one is definitely shorter. They're at the same distance. I don't have one way up in front. Now, if I moved it up here, they would look about the same. But no, these ones are both lined up next to each other. Okay. And if I hold it over, you can see the difference. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and measure our egg and see how wide it is and how long it is. Then we're going to compare that to our first egg. Now when we first measured our egg, we put it on this paper and I asked you guys to basically put it right at the edge of the paper and then put down another one and then you would mark where that one was. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to mark about where that one is. I'm going to go with that inner line. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing for the width, okay? I just kind of pushed it over just a tad, so I'm going to move it over so we can get it as accurate as possible, but once again, this is not an exact measurement. This is just estimating the size because there's many things that could be wrong, many variables that could be wrong, starting with just lining it up on the paper. Your paper might be bent like mine is, which will give you a bad measurement. Now this egg wants to stick to my paper whenever I put it next to it. So it's definitely helpful if you have two hands. I, though, am only trying to use one because the other one is holding my phone. So I apologize for that. So let me go ahead and put down this one. So there's my measurement of the egg. Now it did get a little wet on the paper, but that is fine. So there is the one after it was in the liquid. in that vinegar's. And then here it is from before. Now I measured mine. I didn't use the side of the paper, but once when I put it here, you can kind of see that it was almost a finger wider. Okay. And for the length, I'm going to put it this way. Okay. It was like half of a finger. Okay. Now, my finger could vary, so a better way to really look at it would be using a ruler. So the difference here would be about 1 centimeter, okay, in length. So it was 1 centimeter longer after it was in vinegar. And for the width, okay, for the width, it was about 2 centimeters, okay? I like to think about the width and the length is different on this one than the real egg that's still in the shell. I like to think about when you eat a lot of food and maybe your belly gets a little full and you might not be able to still fit those same pants. That's kind of what's going on. The shell in this egg is keeping it all condensed. It's keeping it inside of there. But now that the shell is not there in this one, it's allowed to expand. It can get bigger. It has room to grow. So these two, still the same inside. And in fact, I'm going to break this one open so you see what it looks like. Okay. So if I was to break this, it's going to make a mess. I'm kind of scared. I'm going to drop it and see how far we can drop it without it until it breaks. There we go. Looky there. There is my egg. Okay. Now this part here, this here was the membrane that was holding the egg together. Okay, now my yolk is still there. Okay, there's my yolk. Okay, it looks like I'm ready to make some eggs. But of course, I'm not going to eat this one because we used it for science. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed watching. And if you did it at home, I'd love to hear it and see some pictures.